Right, we're now going to look at role play presentation of statement of advice to clients, and this matter relates to insurance. As you know, a lot of people don't like to take insurance out on themselves or their partners, because a lot of people feel that taking insurance out is an admission that they're infallible and that something could happen to them. Also, a lot of people are more inclined to insure their house and their car than they are themselves. So selling insurance is not always an easy task, but before a sale can be made, you really have to get the client to understand there is a problem. Once a client understands there is or could be a problem, then a sale is much easier to be made. If we have a look at with a particular case where the case study that you've gone away and you've done the investment, and you've also noted that the client did want some information about their insurance and what they should have, then you need to, when you go back to the client with your recommendations, you need to ask the clients, when you present to them with your levels of cover that you recommend, what do they feel about it? Do they feel that that's enough? Do they feel it's too much? And are they comfortable with that figure? Because without their input and acceptance at that stage, you've got a lot more work to do and undertake. Another thing, that as an advisor, you need to make sure that you fully explain to the client why you've come up with such amounts. And those amounts that you've come back and made recommendations for are from information that you sourced during the initial interview and completion of the client's needs review with the client themselves. So you need to be able to explain to them how you come up with these figures, because during that meeting, when you are gathering the data and information from the client's needs review, a lot of that can be a blur in clients' minds, especially when another interview takes place in a few weeks' time with the presentation of statement of advice. So make sure you explain to them how you've come up to it. Once you've done that, also you need to explain to the clients the advantages of taking the levels of cover that you've recommended, because the advantages might be that they want to make sure that if something happened to either party, that their children could at least get through the age of 18 through high school, they would have enough money to live on, that the other surviving partner didn't have to actually go out and look for work, they could actually stay home, so the children wouldn't be disadvantaged in any way, besides losing a mother or a father, of course, and also that they could retain and stay in the family home, because unfortunately when things do happen in families, quite often there's no insurance in place, or very little. Average family, say in Australia, the amount of cover, average cover for an Australian family, that say a husband and wife, 2 children, is about 160,000. That normally lasts for about 12 months upon the death of a respective partner. So you've got to explain to them why you've come up with that and the advantages of accepting what you're doing. Now, if a client says to you, look, I agree with you, I need all that, we need it all, but I really can't afford to pay that sort of money every month for that sort of cover. Well, you have to actually then have some further discussions with them. You've got to show empathy, you've got to show understanding, and you try and encourage them, if possible, to see why they need to have that level. And if you can see that they're dead set, would like it, but they just can't possibly afford it, then you have to accept their wishes, even though you've explained why they should. Also make sure that in presenting information to clients, that you've got to be conflict free. Now, conflicts do arise in the selling of insurance. Quite often, I personally have been in cases where I've sat down with husband and wives, and the husband would say, well, I don't need any insurance, I'm not going to take any out anyway, because if I die, my wife's young enough, she can marry somewhere else. or vice versa. So there can be a bit of conflict start to arise. So you've got to be wary of that, and also understand that your role there is to present the information to the clients in a very professional manner and maintain the track and process of the whole interview. Finally, if the clients do say to you after much discussion that they definitely can't afford that level of cover, then you ask them, well, what sort of cover do they think they can afford, or what amount could they afford to pay each month for certain parts of the insurance, and then you will actually reduce the level of cover down to the level that they feel comfortable with, and will tell you that that's all they want. To protect yourself, you must also make sure that you get the clients to sign the statement of advice that you're issuing to them, saying that whilst you recommended the figure as above, they only want to accept an amount of, instead of $1 million, say they only want to accept 500,000, and get them to sign it, because that also gives you protection if something goes wrong. Also, another thing, it's very advisable in the completion of all insurance application forms that you actually ask the client who's with you to fill it out in their own handwriting. And the reason I say that is there has been cases where an advisors actually handwrite the application out and get the clients to sign it, and then clients have turned around and said, well, I didn't tell you that information, you wrote that down. So it can be very advisable also to protect yourself, to get the clients to fill the form out. So really that comes to the end of the 3 skills assessments. We hope in what we've shared with you, our knowledge and information and many years experience, that'll help you to go on and be a very successful financial advisor in many years ahead of you. Please remember that AMC, we're here to help you along your journey and pathway, and come back to us at any stage for any further courses, ongoing professional development, and or any advice that we can help you with as you're going through. Thank you.